All right, welcome back to the Neighbor Bees Hive, Neighbors Bees Hives. 1 week ago, I put on a gallon of syrup on each hive, a pollen patty on each hive. Today I'm going to check the syrup, I'm going to check the pollen patties, and I got something in the mail I'm kind of excited about. A Vivaldi board. And some people are going to probably say it's just a gimmick and it's a gadget, but I think in our climate, this is actually going to be very helpful. Because if you remember Joe, the beekeeper who helped me out with these hives 2 weeks ago, I went up to his bee yard to collect the frames that I put in 2 weeks ago, and he had one of these on every one of his hives. And it wasn't exactly this, it was a different style, but the basic idea was it was an inner cover with about 2 inches of space, with ventilation, an open hole, and a place to put food over the winter time. Then he put his cover on top. So this is actually a thing that is useful in this neighborhood. So this is what I'm going to be putting on my hives this winter. So let's get into the hives and have a look at what they're eating. How much syrup have they eaten? Hardly any. Maybe a quart in the last week. All right, checking the pollen patty. You know, while I'm here, I'm going to see what they've done this week. It's not too windy right now. Okay, absolutely nothing stored on the first frame. Putting a little comb on that. Building some brace comb. Wow, there's just nothing. No syrup. Come on, bees. A little bit of syrup. Very little bit. That might have already been there. Yeah, this is pretty light. They just barely started nibbling on the pollen patty. They might be storing a little syrup over here, but very little. They've taken like maybe a quart of syrup. That's like less than a liter of syrup this week. All right, I'm going to leave these as they were. Leave the syrup on. Just gonna keep everything as it was. I forgot, I gotta do a quick check of the mite board on hive. I gotta check the mites on hive left. Far fewer mites. And they're all over here where the strips are. The strips are hanging here, right in the middle of the brood. So there's hardly any mites over here. I think that's syrup that just dripped down through the hive. Yeah, a couple hundred mites. Far fewer than last week. All right, and now we're gonna open up hive right. Right. How much syrup did they eat? Almost all of it. Another great week. All right, let's see what they have stored this week. Yep. A little more capping. Ah, this hive. This hive. All right, we have a brood pattern in the top box. There are larvae in here. There are capped cells and larvae in the upper box. This hive rocks. Oh man. This is 2 weeks old. This has been in here for 2 weeks. Capped brood. 2014 queen. Oh. All right, I want to know right now, raise your hand if you are on team pinch the 2014 queen. Who said to pinch the queen? There she is. There she is right there, laying eggs. Hello, gorgeous. We got beautiful, like, dark honey in here. Capped honey over here. Remember, 14 days ago, this box was empty. There was just pulled comb, and that's it. You're totally killing the pollen patties, too. Checking the mites on Hive right. Hardly any. Maybe about 20 or so. One last thing I'm going to do is tape up the this little gap here in the front. I can't wait to move these hives down to my bee yard because I cannot work in this little tiny space. All right, so no Vivaldi board today. This is the Vivaldi board. It goes on top of the hive. There's another little piece that goes inside here, and then you put a burlap sack on the inside to absorb moisture. That's going to be coming probably in a week or two. They are still taking syrup. I'm going to give them one more week, and they seem to be doing just fine with syrup. So it is supposed to be chilly this week. We're going to be getting down into the 30s freezing temperatures overnight for the next week. So I don't know how much syrup they're going to take, but if they want to take it, I want to give them the option to take it. There's a ton of brood in there in Hive right. It's actually surprising and impressive, and I wish these bees had been fed all summer and had been cared for, because that queen is just totally fine. And weirdly, queen on the left, Hive left, just seems totally chaotic. Like they hardly touch the syrup, they hardly touch the pollen patty. I didn't go in there and look to see what the brood pattern looked like, but there was brood in there 2 weeks ago. In the upper box, which I put those 10 new frames in 14 days ago, Hive left has hardly touched them. Hive right has brood pattern and probably 4 capped frames full of syrup. So it's black and white. It's like night and day, these two hives. I think next video we're going to be getting into hive wrapping, Vivaldi boards, and winter feeding, and I may be mixing up some fondant. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and please comment below and let me know how you really feel about Vivaldi boards. And also, how do you pronounce fondant?